Good too.
Okay, nice. So,
Oh, my bad, Kavita. Your microphone is off. Oh,
it went off in between, did it? Or
no,
you?
it was from the start.
Oh, okay. I'm really sorry about that. Yeah.
You can just go
Welcome.
over.
Yeah. Welcome everybody. My name is Kavita Karunagaran. Um, I joined Meshery recently in last week of December and had been a contributor since then. I got certified recently for Certified Meshery Contributor certification, and this is actually a study group which Ronak and I initiated to help other people to gear for the certification as well as to have a deep dive into Meshery. Um, this is the third session, and we will be actually covering uh, bats. Um, we'll be actually covering how to write CLI tests using bats. It would be nice if you can actually go to watch the previous session held last week so that you will get the continuity if you are watching it online. Um, so I would actually hand over to Rona to have an introduction before we start off. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Kavita, for the heads up. Hey, everyone. I'm Ronak. I'm currently a college student. I'm in my third year and I live in India. And I'm also from a non-tech background for the context. But yeah, I think it feels great over here. Amazing community, amazing team. So we'll be discussing today different things about the Meshery CTL. So we'll be introducing it as well. If it's your first session as well, we'll be making sure that you get a good hold of it. And this study group will help you clear the certification, and then you can put that certification on your resumes or on your socials as well. So yeah, thanks, Kavita.
Yeah. So, as some of the things that we would actually like to do, uh, you might be having the link to this documentation as a part of the invitation link that you have. Please add your names over here for as attendees. Um, Yeah, so uh, after going over the mandatory things, let's actually hop onto the topic. So we would be actually covering an overview of bats, setting up uh, how to set up bats, the folder structure, um, and looking at sample tests, how to write E2E tests using bats, running them locally, and some best practices before moving to our favorite part, fun part, quiz. So I'll be actually reusing the slides and the materials that we have for previous contributor training series as well as uh, in the documentation that we have officially under docs.mystery.io. So let's hop on to that. So basics, prerequisites. What is the prerequisite that you have? You need to actually go to GitHub, uh, clone the repo. That's the prerequisite. And then you have inside the Meshery repo itself, you have the Meshery folder, CTL folder. That's the place where you have the client, CLI client for Meshery. And there's just write up about BATS framework to get an introductory view about BATS. Um, So um, there is an epic for end-to-end commands and subcommands to use batch. We would be actually going to that to add tasks under it. And I think uh, uh, Pragalva as well as Matthew would be actually assisting with you if you have more questions, because they are the ones who actually most has the best knowledge about this test at the moment, like how far we have covered and what exactly we should be, what exactly is the delta that we have to cover. So first of all, let's actually start with what exactly uh, we have to do at first. Um, so there is actually like the epic issue, and then you have to create a sub issue for the test that you are actually going to do as explained earlier. And inside you have the Meshery CTL command line reference over here, which can be actually used to familiarize with the command line structure. This is actually up to date in the sense that you just have to go to Meshery folder and then run make doc, as we have actually discussed in the previous uh, we have discussed in the previous session that happened last week. So once you run make docs, it will actually update in your local, and then you just have to make the changes in by pushing them to remote. That's how it is actually created. And you can actually use play with the mesh CTL itself to get a hands on check inside the code where exactly the implementation is, and then do some experimentations to get a hang of it. Then understand the end-to-end setup and how to contribute to it, the folder structure and all. We will be actually going through soon as a part of this session itself. And then run tests locally, how exactly we can run it, and then how we should actually write the tests, and then we will touch upon the quality practices and ensuring the coverage. So uh, before running Meshery CLI, end-to-end tests, we already have the Meshery CLI cloned. I mean, the code itself is actually cloned, and then you can use. Uh, Let me actually show you inside the thing itself. Let's actually see make file. So this uh, make E2E hyphen libs. This is actually used for uh, getting the prerequisites like bash assert, batch support, and batch file. These are actually helper functions that we have. Um, and this one. So what does make E2E do? Each of this are separate make targets. So first it will actually go to build and run what exactly is there. So if you go to build is FMT, go FMT and then go build. Go build, it will actually build measure CTL, and then make it will run the E2E libs, which we saw earlier. This actually like have the helper functions in the batch lib path, and then it will actually go on and then start the end-to-end testing after putting mandatory values over here, and then it's done. So that's how it actually works. So inside our documentation also, uh, we cover that. Um, yeah, setting up bats. I wanted to actually tell one thing. Like this is bats. Bats actually stands for Bash Automated Testing System. Bash is actually one of the you know shells that are available in Linux and Unix based environments. But if you are actually running on Windows, you may actually want to do enable WSL system and use bats on top of that, because by default Windows actually use something called BAT, which is actually different from Bash. Um, yeah. So if you may have actually tests inside the suite which require you to have a small Kubernetes cluster, Minikube, or kind can be actually used locally for testing the Kubernetes related functionality. And JQ and YQ, these are actually used for JQ is used for JSON processing, like parsing, and YQ is actually a command line tool for parsing a YAML, which is actually there in the STDR. Uh, Starting the Meshery server, make server is used for starting the Meshery server, and authentication is you might actually have some issue with the authentication. In if that is there, you can actually verify your token using the Meshery CTL system check. And if there is this particular error, then you need to actually use Meshery CTL system login. Uh, so that's about it. Um, Folder structure. Let's actually go to the this thing again. So our Meshery CTL tests actually live under Meshery CTL tests E2E, and each of the folders which you have represent each of the I mean each of the commands that you are actually trying to test. By convention, the folder test, the command folder or the test command folder will be having three numbers followed by a hash, a hyphen, and then followed by the command name. Um, for each of the scenarios that subcommands that you have under the parent command, you would actually have 01 hyphen the parent command hyphen the child command dot bats. That is the naming convention that you have. 00 system dot bats is actually the one which actually uh, is like, I mean, it's the naming convention is actually like it is actually the same command, the parent command. It denotes the same parent command. So let us actually try to see what is there. I have used a make. Uh, if you run make E2E, uh, some of the tests may actually fail because that should not be an issue for anybody because uh, it's okay. Like when you're running it for the first time, don't panic because it might actually show some issues as such. Make E2E, if you do, it will actually build and it will actually start running. A lot of them are actually failing for me. That's because I know what that's because I don't have the Meshery server running, and then some of the uh, things will actually pass for me. Yeah. So let's actually see Meshery system start -p. Okay, let me actually check whether my Minikube is actually there. Yeah, it's run. I can actually run make server itself here. So I am actually running the server component from the code itself after building it. So let's actually see. Meshery server is listening on 9081. Sorry for the background noise if you're hearing any.
It's good.
Yeah, okay. So I was actually thinking, since we have a lot of tests, I can actually introduce you to something like this. This is the uh, this is the way, like, you want to actually go for one particular test, one particular subcommand, and then run that test. and you want to tell that, okay, I have built my Meshery CTL. Don't waste some more time to build that. You can actually save time using make e2e no build, and then batch folder pattern. This is the test folder component and components view. I'll show how it will actually run. And there is a small issue here. That's actually not the issue with the test. I think since it's actually easy to understand the context from the what is there, should be easier for you now to understand what is the issue I'm referring to. Uh, so for this particular test, which was there in that particular file, given a valid format provided. Oh yeah, when you actually give it as a output format as YAML, then it's actually failing. And somewhere down the line, we saw the issue what exactly is. Why your command not found? So what should I do? So do I have installed YQ? Oh, one second. So it's getting installed. I run the test once again. This time that issue should not be there because I already have YQ. And that's just a trivial way of showing how to get a hang of it when you have a test and that you want to actually run locally, and then yeah, debug it on your own. This is just a simple way of showing it. So all the tests have actually passed, zero failure. Let's actually hop on to the code again to understand a bit better about what exactly it is. Uh, so um, instead of this, we will actually look at component view batch itself. Um, huh, yeah, so user bin, this is the shebang for running batch. So batch followed by what is actually there in the content of the file will be used. As usual, you have the setup, tear down, and yeah, you have here some test data component view. So for component view, this is the expected output of in JSON format and the expected output for YAML format. You would be actually comparing uh, according to the file that dash O, where what exactly is passed. According to that, the output for file will be actually output will be actually verified with this sample data. And you have fixtures over here, which actually have input data that is actually used for testing. So let's actually go into the test. These are actually regular functions that you will actually see. Whatever is actually annotated with a test actually denotes that this is a test, followed by given no the text which we were actually seeing. So this should be actually unique per test. Um, if you go to the official documentation, you have this one like written with batch test tag is actually this one. So based on the tag, it actually recognizes the test and executes it. Um, so uh, a bit more about the starting point. This run test.bash is actually the place where from which the test actually starts. You have the setup suite, which is obviously all the configuration setups and all that you need to have before running each of the tests in the test suite. And the teardown suite, wherever you have temporary folders and all, you just want to remove, clean up binaries and all. That actually happens here. Um, okay, so this helper batch slips, these are the four places where we actually saw, saw as helpers, which is actually used across the test. So, mm, yeah. So this is actually the syntax. A test is actually block. Each of the block is actually one test case. The run command, which is this one, after each test, run command. This is actually Meshery bean will actually refer to, if you look at the value, it is actually the git place, uh, the exact folder, the path, directory path to go to the Meshery that we have actually built. Component view is actually the command. And then, so for, that's actually used for example, this Meshery uh, this command is there. Um, yeah, one example is this one. When no search query is provided, you need to actually see that there is a failure when you do a component search. So assert output is actually used for asserting the values, whether it is actually a success, failure. Assert output dash dash partial is actually used for ensuring that you have a particular output and then you actually check for a substring. This is the expected substring. This expected substring should be actually there in the output. That's what we actually do. Yeah, after running each command, you will actually check for assertions. This is actually the way we make sure that you are getting the expected output for each of the tests. Hmm. So batch helper libraries, batch assert, test output stat. It actually contains test output support for test output, status codes, and all. Batch support is actually used for setting up tear down and all. And sometimes you actually have, as I told earlier, you would actually have some files which has to be validated. So we use actually batch file, and there are certain tests in our test suite where we want to actually assert some Kubernetes resources. So you actually use batch detect. You can actually take some time to explore what is actually there in the helpers after the session to get a hang of it. Huh. So I think I didn't actually go to this one. So you actually saw where you have the reference by you looking at here, the command line reference I saw showed earlier. You have the E2E test, the folder we actually uh, covered how to run it locally, and the folder structure and development of the test using bats. And then you have the test plan over here. So here using data change view, E2E tests are there for both the UI as well as the CLI. UI uses something called playwright and CLI actually use the bats. So I just have used the CLI to filter here, and then you can actually see what is actually the test status. Some of the tests are actually flaky. They have been actually marked with the flaky over here. At any moment, if you actually feel that you want to actually work on this one, just uh, get in touch with the maintainers over Slack to see whether it's a good time to for you to pick up. They would actually guide you with any related uh, you know issue that is actually there already in our GitHub, because at the moment we have around 700 issues and around 315 pull requests. It's quite easy for us to get lost when we actually see this one, and then if you don't have context, it's better to discuss with others rather than creating a duplicate issue or duplicate PR. That would actually it would be easy for us to you know maintain the code in that way. um so uh Ronak, would you like to take this part about best practices?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kavita. You already explained already so many things. So I'd be explaining some of the best practices to follow when writing your end-to-end tests. So, for example, there are a lot of libraries that you can rely on externally, but that you make sure that you make the maximum use of utilities provided by the PATS framework. And for example, we have, you can share my screen. For example, make sure that you keep the correct naming conventions. That's Kavita already told that these three-digit numbers are for the commands and these are for the subcommands. So you make sure that you correctly rename them and correctly define the assertions for it. So the test scenarios can be added in your PR, and you also support the Meshery test plan that we just get a demo on. And some of the uh, functionalities that you also want to offer in your test, that the core functionality of the command is being tested. The flags that the command has are also being tested. So another best practice is to keep your code or your test small so that it's maintainable, and keep it precise and small. You also handle the errors and everything correctly. So the input files that live over in each of the tests, you follow the correct structure as well for it, and you correctly handle the invalid input files as well. So make sure that you write comprehensive tests. That's the some of the best practices that we can define. So Kavita, would you be also explaining how you're writing a test, or think we have some time?
Yeah, I think we already covered the part of how to look at
Mm.
the test. So same thing. First thing is actually like you get in touch with the mediators, ask whether this is actually okay to take. First thing is if you want, if there is an okay signal, go to this particular. I mean, go and create an issue. And a recent issue. Let's actually look at a recent issue which Bragalva created. So this is actually have a good explanation about what exactly you intend to implement, and just a small description, a related issue. This is actually the pull request, I believe. The immediate issue beforehand, and then this is actually the contributes to the epic, so that you once you actually have the epic also mentioned here, it's easier to trace back and see that there is actually a sub issue and all. um yeah, so you actually create sample data, and then put it for every test. You need not have sample data, but when you actually need some input data, that can be actually added here. For instance, this is actually just a reference. You create a component named CLI E2E test, and then this is actually being used in the
Sorry to interrupt,
list.
Kavita. You're not sure.
Oh, okay, sorry. So let's actually go back to the component list itself so that it is easier. This is the smallest one I could actually find with a fixtures, test data, and easy to execute things, which might not need everything like complex setup itself before. So if you see the component test, this is actually the JSON format for the component. You need to actually add, if there is, if this is actually the input data, then you need to actually add it under fixtures folder for the particular test that you are actually doing under the particular Meshery command itself. And list, if you um, go here, list or view, I think, view a single one, view component name minus o, that is actually using the JSON value. Yeah, the search one. Sorry, search for a known component. So Meshery CTL component search, you give the same component name here. It will go and then search and then give uh, a proper value. So you use a partial to check whether this particular component itself is there in the output. Um, as explained earlier. I mean, this is actually just an example of how to write. Uh, After going to the official BATS uh, page, you would actually have uh, more examples. I think there was another, yeah, this is actually there. Um this package starball.bats. This can be actually used for understanding how to write a simple test actually. I think I have covered almost everything that I wanted to cover. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, we have. So I think we can take some questions, and then we have some of the practice questions that we'll be covering, and we then after that would be completed by the first unit for the certification. So you can just after that take up the first unit for the Mystery CTL certification in CMC. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, or you can also drop in the Zoom chat.
yeah, we have Pragalva also here, so I would actually like to hear if there is anything that we missed uh, while uh, speaking, while conducting the session. If you want to actually add something, please feel free to add.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so hello everyone. I am Pragalva Sapkota. So you can see me, my PRs in the Messenger CTL commands and the end-to-end test. I have been contributing for over 2 months in this, uh, you know, specific area. So one thing I wanted to add, like if you are running Mr. CTL end-to-end test, as Kavita said, um, you know, uh, some of the tests might fail, and you might think, is it because of me? Is it me that changed something and it is resulting into, the failures? So I wanted to share um, my screen. Mhm. Right. Yeah. So actually, we have a QA dashboard where, each and every MesseCTL end-to-end test is synced. So, if you will go to qa.messery.io/messeCTL, then you can view all the current, end-to-end tests, if they are passing or if they are failing. So if you will look into it and if you will see, okay, the end-to-end test that is failing locally, if it is also failing in the QA dashboard, then it is probably not an issue that has come up because of your local changes. But if they are passing here and failing in your local system, then there might be something that might have triggered and is resulting to fail. And also you should note that some of the end-to-end tests are using, you know, tokens, which might not be available in your local system. So it might be, it might be the default behavior that, the tests are failing at your end. So you don't need to worry about the commands failing because of unavailable tokens. And also, if you want to work on the end-to-end test and you want a starting point, you can look into the failing test. There are several failing tests. You can look into it. You can see why they are failing, and you can raise a issue or PR, and we will just jump into it and review it. And one another thing that I wanted to show you is, the test descriptions that we are currently using versus the test descriptions in some of the files are different. So you might be confused at some point, like why is the test description here different than, here, like in this one, in the line 11, if you'll see, you can see Meshery CTL modal is space one return total number of modals. So what this is doing is describing what the test is doing. But if you look into it, another one, then this has a different layout. So actually we are following a different layout now, which is a behavior driven description, BDD, which uses given the type, what happens when and then. We follow given when then. So it should describe what the test is supposed to do. So if you want to raise a PR, which is simple, you can also look into some of the, commands which are using the old layout and are not using the BDD format. Then you can raise a simple PR for that as well. We will look into it. And other than that, I think you guys have pretty much covered everything. Yeah,
Thank you.
that's it.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah, thank you.
So we can actually wait for a couple of more minutes
Mm.
for clarifying any questions which any of us have before proceeding to the quiz part.
Yes. Rudra, you can find all the meeting recordings. They have been live streamed on the Meshery YouTube channel. I think we can move on to the quiz part, and if we have questions, we can cover them simultaneously. Till then, we figure out some questions. So, Kavita has prepared Mystery CLI practice questions for this end-to-end testing. Um, so let's attempt this live practice questions. So I haven't read that, but I'm doing it now. So Kavita, don't be mad at me by not reviewing this. But yeah, it looks great to me.
No
So
issues.
what?
Yeah, maybe we can actually share the same link over here so that others can also attend, I
Yeah, I'll
believe.
just share
Summit.
that.
Oh, okay.
So there are 15 questions over it, and you can also attend this practice quiz session. And is it also having the marking scheme in it? I
Yes, one
believe
point we
yes,
can
one
actually
point.
see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. What does the config flag in Meshery allow you to do? So I need help.
Should I or anybody else can chip in?
Yeah, definitely.
It's actually boring to prepare the question and answer at the same time.
Mm, I think
Yes,
too.
that's
Yeah,
the one.
yeah. Let's
Correct.
tell the answer in the end. Yeah. Which of the following commands are used to display available shell completion scripts for Meshery CTL?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
It's A. Yeah.
Meshery CLI uses a config file called mesh config. What is this configuration primarily used for?
It's B. Yeah.
Mm. How does Meshery CTL identify which Meshery deployment to interact with when a command is run? Mm.
Yeah. That's correct. B.
Which behavior is true of the Meshery CTL system start command? Again, B. Which framework does Meshery CTL? Oh, this time A. Uses internally to implement its CLI commands. Which of the following is not a command category directly supported by Meshery CTL? I believe it's D. What does the Meshery CTL system check command primarily show? D.
No, it's actually B. It shows it checks for the server and the adapters whether they are running or not. Yeah.
Ah, all right. Thanks. What does the Meshery CTL perf profile command show? Is it C? Yeah. Which of the following commands is used to view logs of the Meshery server via the CLI? System log. It's always necessary to build Meshery CTL each time before running end-to-end patch tests. True or false?
Yeah, everybody is correct. It's false.
Yeah. False. What are the mandatory prerequisites for running end-to-end tests locally? And no? Okay.
JQ is not mandatory. It's just for
Okay.
JSON parsing, no? And kind is used for Kubernetes. You can run
Mm,
without Mesh server and CTL and our Arcane installation of bats, you will not be able to run. So those two are mandatory, while the other two are optional.
mm, mm. Why is it false? Can someone explain, please? This
Yeah, that's
I
like E2E no build is actually there for ensuring that you run the E2E. Or as we have already created MeshCTL binary. If you run make E2E, it will try to create rerun and then create it again. Rather than that, you just have to run Meshery E2E no build just to keep the execution time short, and you already know that there is no point in actually creating it again and again. Yeah.
what command is used to refresh the authentication token?
Yes, Rudra, that's the command which I had actually shown, like for running two different. I mean, for running that command view, component view. This one, what is the command? Yes, system login. When you get that the authentication issue is there, when you run the system check, you run the mesh SSDL system login, and then you can actually get token refresh.
What's the valid location for input data for a given test?
Yes, see.
Yeah, all right. Which among the following is used to check for existence of given substring in test?
A partial. Yeah.
Yeah, looks like we'll be getting a full score. Oops,
Oh,
what did I do? Oh, it's mistake on
oh
my
yeah.
part. I meant,
Okay.
yeah.
No, I also told wrong actually, because yeah, I think I looked at something else and then I didn't see that one because I took that string from the explanation of
Mm.
the mesh CTM systems check itself. Yeah, it's wrong
Yeah,
from my
no,
part. Sorry.
we're still 14 by 50.
That's a good score.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is a good score. Even I wouldn't get this, I think.
yeah, you'd be getting 50.
No, the questions were good.
Thank you.
All right, so now you can officially take up the certification for the first unit. What we are covering next? Like, what's the next unit, Kavita?
Uh, yeah, for the next step, one second. Let me actually look at
Mm.
what the plan is, which I had. We covered the mesh CLI. I was actually thinking of going to the next unit that we have. Um, certification. It can be either the server or model adapters and all. I'll actually put up a plan and then ping. But yeah, it would be actually related to either
Mm.
server or the adapter models. Yeah.
Yeah, since we are
This is
covering
actually,
Meshery CTL, so we may not need to go hierarchical. We can, yeah.
yeah, because server makes more sense uh, after the CLI because the call actually goes from user from Meshery UI or Meshery CTL to the server, and then it goes further to the orchestration
Mm.
layer or service meshes and back. So yeah.
Yeah, but but can we skip some units and grab on to another exams if we haven't completed one?
I don't know. If you want to actually go in the series, then we can actually take up extensibility itself. Not an
No,
issue.
I'm talking
I
about the certification for the cloud.layer5.io. So can I, if I've passed this exam, so can I directly jump onto models, or I need to pass the extensibility as well for this? Like, is this hierarchical? If it's hierarchical, then we must. con con continue the hierarchical thing.
Okay. I remember attending the Meshery and server, and then I had to. I mean, before doing the Meshery UI, it was actually telling me that you have to complete all the previous ones. That's the thing. But if it is
Mm,
just to not to add further confusion, we can actually go for Meshery extensibility then. Um,
okay.
and go in this flow itself. That will be actually better, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I think that's all we have for today. If you have anything else, probably work with the share the link. Yeah. So the link is also added in the documentation for the meeting minutes for the first session on 13th. You can also check out some of the self-paced trainings for each of the exams that we have. There are recordings and slides that you can find where previous contributors have shared their knowledge upon, and you can sort of do your homework before coming to this study group so that you can become a person who is quite active in the class and answers well as well. But yeah, I think we have people over here that, yeah, here's the link for the docs.
Yeah, to answer the question of Damaris, yes, if you go to the QA dashboard, you can see some failing tests. You can look into it and you can maybe try to figure it out why they are failing and try to make the test pass. The immediate
Uh,
work might be that.
have you shared the link to the QA dashboard here? Um, Perhaps
Yeah,
sharing it in the chat will
I
help.
think Ronak
Yeah, I
had,
have shared it.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice. Sorry.
All right, I think we can wait a few more seconds if we have anything else. So we'll be seeing you for the next study group meeting on the next Friday, same timing. And thanks, Pragalva and Kavita, for your help today. And thanks everyone for joining. Have a great weekend. Bye. You can ask all other if you have any questions, you can directly ask on the Slack channels. We are also almost up time. Thanks everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.